The snow didn't fall gently that night. It came down hard and thick, swallowing the city in silence, the kind that made even busy streets feel abandoned. Claire stood inside a cracked bus shelter, hugging her arms tightly around herself, trying and failing to stop the shivering. She had been there for almost an hour. Her thin dress clung to her skin, soaked from melted snow, completely wrong for a December night like this. The shelter offered little protection. Cold air slipped through every opening, biting into her bones. Beside her on the bench sat a small, worn bag. Everything she owned was inside it. A change of clothes. A few old photographs. And divorce papers that still felt unreal. Just 3 hours earlier, she had been standing in a warm living room, listening as her husband calmly explained why she no longer belonged there. "You can't give me what I need," he had said flatly. "No children means no future." Claire swallowed hard at the memory. 3 years of marriage erased in a single conversation. Not because she had cheated. Not because she had failed as a partner. But because her body didn't work the way her husband wanted it to. She had tried to reason with him. Adoption. Medical options. Time. He hadn't listened. Instead, he told her to pack and leave. No parents to call, she'd lost them years ago. Friends had faded away during a marriage that demanded all of her attention. Shelters were full. Hotels were expensive. So she ended up here. Alone. Cold. Disposable. Claire stared through the shelter's fogged glass, watching headlights smear into long, blurry streaks on the road. She wondered briefly how many people had already passed her without seeing her at all. That's when she noticed them. Footsteps crunching through the snow. She looked up to see a man approaching with 3 children bundled tightly in winter coats. The youngest clung to his hand, while the older 2 walked close, their heads lowered against the wind. They slowed when they reached the shelter. The man's eyes took everything in the thin dress, the shaking hands, the small bag. Claire looked away immediately. She didn't want pity. She couldn't survive another look that said you're broken. "Excuse me," the man said gently. "Are you waiting for a bus?" Claire nodded automatically, even though she knew the last one had already passed. "It's freezing out here," he said. "You don't have a coat." "I'm fine," she replied quickly, her voice betraying her. One of the children tugged his sleeve. "Dad, she's really cold." Another added softly, "You always say we should help." The man crouched slightly so he wasn't towering over her. "My name is Jonathan," he said. "These are my kids. We live close by. Please, let us help you get warm." Claire shook her head. "I can't. You don't know me." Jonathan smiled, not amused kind. "You're sitting in a bus shelter in the snow. The only danger here is the cold." Snow continued to fall, thick and relentless. Claire hesitated. Accepting help meant admitting she had nothing left. But staying meant something far worse. "Okay," she whispered. Jonathan immediately removed his own coat and draped it around her shoulders. The warmth was instant and overwhelming. As they walked toward his home, Claire realized something unsettling. This stranger had shown her more care in 5 minutes than her husband had shown her in years. And she had no idea how much this single decision would change all of their lives. Claire thought this night was the end of her life as she knew it. But she had no idea that stepping into Jonathan's home would uncover secrets, pain, and a choice that would redefine what family truly means. Claire expected questions the moment she stepped inside Jonathan's house. Instead, she was met with warmth, literal and unexpected. The door closed behind them with a soft click, shutting out the howling wind. Warm air wrapped around her instantly, making her dizzy. The house smelled faintly of cinnamon and something freshly baked. Jonathan helped her slip out of his coat. "Sit," he said gently, pointing to the couch. "I'll get you something warm." The children disappeared down the hallway, already arguing over something trivial, their laughter echoing softly. Claire sat stiffly, afraid to sink too deeply into the cushions, as if comfort itself might vanish if she relaxed. Jonathan returned with a mug of hot soup and a blanket. "Slow sips," he said. "Your body needs time." Her hands trembled as she lifted the mug. The first sip burned slightly, but she welcomed the sting. It reminded her she was still alive. "Thank you," she murmured. Jonathan nodded but didn't press her with questions. Instead, he busied himself lighting a fire and tidying the already neat living room. It was clear he was giving her space on purpose. After a few minutes, Claire spoke on her own. "I wasn't waiting for a bus," she admitted quietly. "There wasn't one coming." Jonathan looked at her, expression calm. "I guessed." She swallowed. "I don't have anywhere else to go." Still, he didn't ask why. That kindness hurt more than cruelty ever could. "I was married," she continued, her voice cracking. "Tonight, I was told to leave." Jonathan sat across from her, elbows resting on his knees. "I'm sorry. I couldn't give him children," she said, staring into the mug. "So I wasn't enough." Silence filled the room, but not the heavy, judging kind she was used to. This one felt like understanding. "My wife died 4 years ago," Jonathan said quietly. "Cancer." Claire looked up, startled. "She wanted a big family," he continued. "We planned for it. Life had other plans." The children reappeared then, sensing the shift in the room. The oldest boy, Noah, studied Claire carefully. "Are you staying for dinner?" Claire froze. "Yes," Jonathan said smoothly. "She's staying for dinner." Dinner turned out to be simple pasta and bread, but it tasted better than anything Claire remembered. The children talked freely, asking her harmless question. What was her favorite color? Did she like dogs? Could she draw? For the first time that night, she smiled. Later, when the kids were sent to bed, Claire stood awkwardly by the couch. "I should go," she said. "You've already done more than enough." Jonathan shook his head. "It's past midnight. It's still snowing. You're staying." She hesitated. "I don't want to be a burden." He met her eyes. "You're not." He showed her a small guest room, simple, clean, untouched. As Claire sat on the edge of the bed, exhaustion hit her all at once. But sleep didn't come easily. Her mind replayed her husband's words, the sound of the door closing behind her, the icy bus shelter. Then she thought of Jonathan's children. The way they looked at her, not with pity, but curiosity. Acceptance. As she lay staring at the ceiling, Claire realized something frightening. This house already felt more like home than anywhere she had lived in years. And she didn't know if she deserved that feeling. Fire Ari Hook, end of part 2. Claire believed this was just one safe night. But the next morning, a single conversation would force Jonathan to make a decision that could change all of their futures forever. Claire woke to the sound of laughter. For a brief, confusing moment, she forgot where she was. Then the soft scent of coffee reached her, and reality returned. Jonathan's house, the guest room, the night that had saved her from the cold. She sat up slowly, half expecting someone to knock and tell her she'd overstayed her welcome. No one did. When she stepped into the hallway, the house was alive. Noah and his younger brother were racing toy cars across the floor, while Jonathan stood in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, flipping pancakes with surprising skill. "Good morning," he said when he noticed her. His tone was calm, natural, like she belonged there. "Good morning," she replied, unsure where to stand. "You can sit," Noah said, pulling out a chair. "Dad makes the best pancakes on Saturdays." Claire hesitated only a second before sitting down. Breakfast felt unreal. Warm food, casual conversation, no tension in the air. Jonathan asked about her favorite foods, her job, the city she'd grown up in, but avoided anything that might hurt. Until the kids left the table. Once they ran outside to play in the snow, the silence changed. Jonathan set 2 mugs of coffee on the table and sat across from her. "You don't have to answer anything you don't want to," he said carefully. "But I need to understand what you plan to do next." Claire wrapped her hands around the mug, drawing strength from the warmth. "I don't know," she admitted. "I never thought I'd be starting over at 32. Jonathan nodded slowly. "Do you have family?" She shook her head. "My parents passed away years ago. My sister lives abroad. We don't talk much." He leaned back, thinking. "And your husband?" Her jaw tightened. "He made it very clear I'm no longer welcome." Jonathan didn't push further, but something hardened behind his eyes, not anger, but quiet resolve. "I don't believe a person's worth is tied to what they can give biologically," he said after a moment. "If I did, I'd be a very different father." Claire's eyes filled before she could stop herself. She looked away quickly. "I'm sorry. I didn't expect." "You don't need to apologize," he interrupted gently. The kids burst back inside, cheeks red from the cold. The youngest boy tugged on Jonathan's sleeve. "Can Claire stay today?" Claire froze. Jonathan looked at her, not asking, not assuming. "Just offering. If you'd like," he said. She nodded slowly. "Just for today." That today stretched longer than expected. They went sledding. Built a crooked snowman. Claire helped with homework, her voice soft but confident. Jonathan watched quietly from a distance, something unfamiliar stirring in his chest. That evening, after the kids went to bed, Jonathan stood at the window, staring out at the falling snow. "This can't be permanent," he said quietly. Claire nodded. "I know. But," he continued, turning to face her, "you don't need to rush into another cold place either." She hesitated. "Why are you doing this?" Jonathan exhaled slowly. "Because I know what it feels like to be told your life has ended when it hasn't." Claire slept easier that night. But Jonathan didn't. As he sat alone in his study, he opened a message on his phone, one from his company's legal advisor, reminding him of an upcoming board meeting. A meeting that could expose his personal life to scrutiny. A meeting where Claire's presence, however innocent, could become a problem. Jonathan closed the phone, realizing the truth. Helping Claire wasn't just kindness anymore. It was becoming a choice, with consequences. Jonathan thought offering shelter was simple compassion. But when his world of power and reputation collided with Claire's fragile new beginning, one secret decision would put everything at risk. Monday morning arrived faster than Claire expected. The house, which had felt warm and safe all weekend, now carried a quiet tension she couldn't quite name. Jonathan was dressed differently, tailored suit, crisp shirt, calm expression carefully put together like armor. He looked powerful. And suddenly, Claire felt very small. "I have a meeting today," Jonathan said as he adjusted his cufflinks. "A long one." She nodded. "I'll be out before that." He paused. "You don't have to rush." Claire forced a smile. "I should." She didn't belong in his world. She knew that. Not with his children. Not with his responsibilities. And certainly not with the title she overheard one of the kids proudly mention the night before, CEO. Jonathan's driver arrived shortly after. As he stepped toward the door, Jonathan turned back. "There's food in the fridge. Stay warm." Then he was gone. The silence that followed felt heavier than the storm that had brought her here. Claire wandered through the living room, touching nothing. Absorbing everything. Family photos lined the shelves, Jonathan and his wife smiling, younger versions of the children laughing in places Claire would never belong. A life built on stability. A life she had lost. Her phone buzzed suddenly. A message from her husband. "You left some things. I'll box them. Don't come back." No apology. No hesitation. Claire's hands shook as she locked the phone and sank onto the couch. Across the city, Jonathan sat at the head of a long glass table, listening as board members discussed profits, mergers, public image. Words like reputation, risk, stability floated through the room. "Your personal life has been unusually quiet," one board member said casually. "That's good. Investors like predictability. Jonathan nodded, his jaw tightening slightly. Predictable. He thought of Claire, her quiet strength, the way she flinched when she spoke about her marriage, the way his youngest had smiled at her like she'd always been there. That wasn't predictable. And that scared him more than any business risk. Back at the house, Claire heard a knock at the door. Her heart jumped. She wasn't expecting anyone. She opened it cautiously. A woman stood there well-dressed, confident, sharp eyes that scanned Claire in 1 second and judged her in the next. "I'm Jonathan's sister," the woman said. "Emma." Claire swallowed. "I know who you are," Emma interrupted calmly. "Or at least, I know what you are." The words stung. Emma stepped inside without waiting for permission. "You should be careful," she continued. "Jonathan's life isn't simple. People notice things. People talk." Claire's voice was steady, though her chest burned. "I didn't plan any of this." Emma studied her. "Intentions don't matter. Consequences do." She moved toward the door again. "Just, don't complicate his life." The door closed behind her. Claire stood frozen, shame crawling up her spine. By the time Jonathan returned that evening, the house felt different. "Emma came by," Claire said. Quietly. Jonathan stiffened. "What did she say?" "Enough," Claire replied. "I think it's time I go." Jonathan's chest tightened. "You don't have to decide tonight." "Yes, I do," Claire said. "Because I'm already causing problems." She walked to the guest room and returned with her small bag. Jonathan watched, conflicted. Every part of him wanted to stop her. Another part, the part shaped by responsibility and fear, hesitated. Claire reached the door, her hand resting on the handle. "Thank you," she said softly, "for reminding me I still mattered." Jonathan finally spoke. "You do matter." She turned, eyes glossy. "Then let me leave with dignity." The door closed. Jonathan stood alone in the quiet house, realizing too late that silence felt colder than any storm. And for the first time since his wife's death, he wondered if doing the right thing had just been the greatest mistake of his life. Claire believed walking away was the only way to protect Jonathan's world. But neither of them knew that fate was already setting the stage for a reunion neither could avoid. Claire didn't know where she was going. She only knew she couldn't stay. The cold greeted her the moment she stepped outside, sharp and unforgiving. Snow crunched beneath her shoes as she walked away from Jonathan's house, her small bag cutting into her shoulder with every step. Each one felt heavier than the last. She told herself she was doing the right thing. Jonathan had a life, children, a company, expectations. She was a complication he didn't need. A reminder of pain he had already survived once. Still, with every step, her chest tightened. By the time she reached the bus stop, the sky had darkened again. She sat down slowly, exhaustion sinking into her bones. The warmth of Jonathan's home already felt like a dream she wasn't meant to keep. Her phone buzzed. A message from her husband's number, but not from him. "The divorce is finalized. Don't contact us again." Claire stared at the screen until the words blurred. So that was it. No home. No marriage. No future she could see. She wrapped her arms around herself and closed her eyes, letting the tears come quietly. Across town, Jonathan sat alone in his study, staring at nothing. The house felt wrong without Claire's presence. Too neat. Too silent. Even the children sensed it. They had asked where she went. Why she didn't stay. He hadn't known how to answer. Jonathan replayed Emma's words in his head. People notice things. People talk. He had spent his life protecting stability, his company, his children, his image. And now, for the first time, he questioned whether stability was just another word for fear. His phone rang. It was Noah. "Dad," his son said hesitantly. "Did Claire leave because of us?" Jonathan's heart clenched. "No," he said quickly. "Never because of you." "But she was happy here," Noah whispered. Jonathan closed his eyes. "Yes," he admitted. "She was." That was all it took. Jonathan grabbed his coat and keys, ignoring the protests of logic screaming in his head. He didn't know what he would say. He only knew one thing. Letting her walk away like that was wrong. Back at the bus stop, Claire heard footsteps. She looked up, bracing herself for disappointment. Jonathan stood in front of her, breath visible in the cold air. Her heart skipped painfully. "You shouldn't be here," she said, standing up slowly. "I know," he replied. "But you shouldn't be here either." She laughed bitterly. "This is where I belong now." "No," Jonathan said firmly. "That's the lie you were taught to believe." She shook her head. "Your sister was right. I complicate things." Jonathan stepped closer. "Emma doesn't get to decide who complicates my life." Claire's voice trembled. "Your children, your company. They need honesty," he interrupted. "And I need to stop pretending I'm fine with being alone." Silence fell between them, heavy and fragile. "I'm not asking you to stay forever," Jonathan continued softly. "I'm asking you to stay. Until you don't feel disposable anymore." Tears spilled freely now. "I was thrown out because I couldn't give a man children," Claire whispered. "What if that's all I'll ever be to anyone?" Jonathan reached for her hand, slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. "My kids don't need you to be their mother," he said gently. "They need you to be you." A bus approached in the distance, its headlights glowing through the falling snow. Claire looked at it. Then back at Jonathan. One choice. Again. The bus slowed, then passed. Claire exhaled shakily. "Okay," she whispered. Jonathan smiled, not in victory, but in relief. As they walked back toward the house together, neither of them noticed the black car parked across the street. Watching. Waiting. Claire thought choosing Jonathan meant choosing safety. But she had no idea her past was about to resurface, bringing a truth that would test love, trust, and everything she believed about herself. The black car stayed parked across the street long after Jonathan and Claire disappeared inside the house. Neither of them noticed it that night. They were too busy relearning how to breathe. Inside, the children ran toward Claire without hesitation, their faces lighting up like she had never left. The youngest wrapped her arms around Claire's waist, holding on tightly, as if afraid she might vanish again. "You came back," she said. Claire knelt down, hugging her gently. "Yes. I did." Jonathan watched from the doorway, something loosening in his chest for the first time in years. This wasn't chaos. This wasn't complication. This was life. But peace didn't last long. 2 days later, Jonathan received a call he had been expecting and dreading. It was from his legal team. "Your ex-brother-in-law contacted us," the lawyer said carefully. "He's contesting something." Jonathan frowned. "Contesting what?" "Your wife's will," the lawyer replied. "Specifically, the clause about guardianship and remarriage." Jonathan went silent. After the call ended, he sat alone for a long time before finally telling Claire everything. About the will. About the condition his late wife's family had tried to impose, that no woman without children of her own should ever take a maternal role in his children's lives. Claire felt the words like a slap. "So, I'm the problem again," she whispered. Jonathan shook his head firmly. "No. That condition is." The matter went to court faster than either of them expected. Claire wanted to step back. To disappear again. But Jonathan stopped her. "This time," he said quietly, "we face it together." In court, Claire sat with her hands folded tightly, listening as lawyers spoke about her life like it was a flaw on a medical chart. Infertile. Unmarried. Unqualified. When it was her turn to speak, she stood slowly, legs trembling, but her voice didn't. I was told I had no value because I couldn't give a man children, she said. I believed it. Until I met a family who showed me love isn't something you produce, it's something you choose. She looked toward the children. I may never give birth, Claire continued, but I can give patience, safety, and a home where no one is ever thrown out for being imperfect. The courtroom was silent. The judge ruled swiftly. The clause was invalid. Discriminatory. Unenforceable. Jonathan's ex-in-laws lost their claim. And Claire, quiet, shaking Claire, walked out of that courtroom no longer feeling like something was missing from her. Months passed. Life settled into something warm and real. Claire found work again. Jonathan stepped back from constant boardroom pressure. The children thrived, not because their family was perfect, but because it was honest. One evening, as rain tapped gently against the windows, Jonathan stood beside Claire in the kitchen. You know, he said softly, my kids already see you as family. Claire smiled sadly. I don't need a title. Jonathan reached into his pocket. I do, he said. He knelt, not out of obligation, but certainty. Come with me, Jonathan said, voice steady. Not because you replace anyone. Not because you prove anything. But because we choose each other. Claire laughed through tears. I was thrown out for being infertile. Jonathan smiled. And found for being enough. She said yes. Not because her past was healed. But because it no longer owned her. That night, Claire stood by the window, watching the rain fall softly, no longer afraid of storms. Because she had learned something the world never taught her. Family isn't built by what you can give biologically. It's built by who stays, when walking away would be easier. What if the thing you were rejected for is the very reason you were meant to belong somewhere better?
In the dark, your voice still hums, a tune that dances when the silence comes. Every note is aching, every word unfolds. This lonely rhythm, it's the one I hold. I sit here humming to the empty air. Your shadow's gone, but but your scent's still there. A song plays softly in the back of my mind. It's you I'm missing, can't leave you behind.
The moonlight flickers through the broken glass. Each shard reflects the moments from our past. A melody we built, now torn apart.
I hum it slowly, straight from my heart. Echoes in the dark, your voice still hums. A tune that dances when the silence comes. Every note is aching, every word unfolds. This lonely rhythm, it's the one I hold.
But mine's an empty scene. The music's loud, but you're lost in between. I sing to find you, I hope you'll hear this lonely harmony pulled from my tears.
The strings of time keep ringing out your name. I write the lyrics, but they're never the same.
Falling out of tune as I reach for your face. The symphony of love floats in empty space. Echoes in